Welcome to the show, everybody. I want to remind each of you to like and subscribe. Today, we're talking with martial artist, actor Tait Fletcher. Tait, hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. Nice to be here.
So, Tait, let's rewind it to like 2005, 2006 ish. You're living in Santa Fe at the time?
Man, yeah, I guess I was back. I was back in Santa Fe and I was back and forth between Los Angeles. Yeah,
And so you were working at a club called the Paramount at the
that's
time?
right. Yeah. The Paramount in Barbie. It was a infamous nightclub in the Southwest. Really cool spot at a cool little era of time, little magic that happened.
Yeah, it's since been demolished and has been replaced with the courthouse.
I love though how it obliterates the view of the mountain as you come up Aztec. It's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, there was a coffee shop there too, the Aztec
Yep.
Cafe, where we used to go to, and it had this great view of the mountains. And now that's a view of the wall of the courthouse, which,
Right. Yeah, when it was the Paramount, it was so precious. We couldn't put a sign outside because it was a historical building. And so that was the dominating regard at that time. And then it's just like, well, just build this monstrosity. Anyway, early 90s and went to St. John's. And that's what brought me to Santa Fe originally. And then, yeah, I ended up working at this nightclub for, I don't know, almost a decade. I worked previous to that at the Drama Club, which was the previous incarnation of that with Cliff Skoglund and Donnelly Goodbrode. Yeah, good times, man. The way I got a SAG card was I was at the Paramount working, and one of my guys calls me to the front door and he says, "Hey, we need you up here." And I go up, and there's, I don't know, five huge black guys. Everybody's 6 foot plus, and it's all Master P's dudes for No Limit Films. So Master P, rapper out of Louisiana, had No Limit Records. Kind of saved Snoop Dogg's life at a certain time after death row, but that's a whole other story. And so that's, I went out and it was a movie called Lockdown, and me and like a bunch of friends tried out for this thing, and so that's how I kind of got involved in the film business. And it seemed like an impossibility. The guy who was the stunt coordinator, who's now a friend of mine, he'd said afterwards, we'd work a month together. He's like, "Man, come out. There's a bunch of work in LA. Come to, live in, I got a back house." And I go, "Man, that's unrealistic. I'm just a kid from Michigan. I only got to work this one job. Everybody else that I know in Santa Fe has got to work 6 different jobs to make it work. And I'm able to go after this passion that I compete at. And I'm good. Thanks." It just seemed unrealistic. And so then I do a whole other thing for 10 years. And then I'm teaching jujitsu, and a guy comes in, X Games athlete, Darren Prescott, and he's doing a movie called Paul. And that kind of got me back into the film business. He put me in that. And then I was in Red Dawn and Jonah Hex, and just kind of started hustling the business a little bit. Did a lot of bodyguard work, like I bodyguarded Joe Rogan, and kind of have some infamous stories from that. And so it's like this, yeah, it's been a crazy, 20 years.
yeah, you had like a 10-year stint acting in New Mexico, but then went off, and then you had a fighting career, and then you went and did another 10 years acting since. Is that somewhere close?
No, I mean, I did that couple little things acting after lockdown, like nothing. I didn't chase anything, and I just competed for the next decade. And then about 2009, I got into films again, 2010.
Right on. And Annie Lederman, I heard her talking about how you had really helped her following her time in Santa Fe.
Well, we've been great friends for a long time, and I've seen many incarnations of Annie. I saw her first stand up ever was at the Cowgirl Hall of Fame. Shout out to the old big cups that they used to have. And she was a waitress there, and she was sloppy drunk, and it was on a karaoke night, and she did a horrible set. And then, she went off to New York, and that was her next day, and she wanted to get sober. And so we talked about that and talked about what that might look like. And she kind of chose her road with all of that. And I didn't see her for a couple of years. But then I see her with Jim Norton and with some other people that I know that are in common, because I used to tour with, Rogan and Ari Shaffir and Joey Diaz and all these guys for years. And so I know a lot of people in that scene. And I thought, God, this is like Annie's on a huge trajectory is all I could see. To see where she is now and to see the consistency. And that's what it is for anything. Everybody's like, "Oh, how'd you get where, you are," or whatever, as if I'm somewhere, right? Um, and it's just one thing after the other that you want to do, and you want to do it well enough that you would starve to do it. And that's what fighting was for me at a certain time. That's what acting became. That's what Annie's comedy is. And so I love being around people that exude that quality of action, where I'm going to put effort towards this thing that I desire, even though it doesn't look like it's going to bear any fruit. And that act of faith, that's the thing that instills hope. That's the great thing of life.
You brought up Keith Jardine, and we had the film at the Santa Fe International Film Festival. It's El Paso 1155.
That's right. It's
What?
fantastic. And the
Yeah,
feature that he's written after that is even better.
and your character in El Paso 1155. What can you tell me about that? Is it Schizo Tom?
Yeah. Uh, mentally problematic guy in the bus station is part of that. And then there's a twist at the end of it that kind of brings it all together.
And is the feature similarly connected, or is it a totally different story?
It's similarly connected and an offshoot of that story, and just in a lot of talks right now with producers and all that, getting it together to go.
Tait, before the break, you were reminding me about the Mandalorian. Tell me all about it. That must be such an exciting set to be on. It's Disney. It's massive.
Yeah, it was a trip. It's been one of the most fun characters I've ever played, and it's really cool to see the arc of his story. And it's great to be able to work with masters of their craft, like to be able to work with Filoni and Favreau, and people of that caliber is really phenomenal. To be on set every day and interacting and talking about story and all that. It's like being in a master class all day long. I was so grateful for the experience.
And is it your third season on the show?
Yeah, it's the third season right now. My character also was in Boba Fett for an episode, and then now we picked up. We're in the fifth episode, I think, or going into the sixth episode of the third season.
Yeah, and tell us about the character.
Paz Vizsla is kind of like the guy that draws the line in the sand and holds the standard and says, "This is, we need to hold tradition." All that. He's a traditionalist. He's like a real traditional, like stoic Taoist kind of character with a real hard edge. A lot of people find him salty a little bit.
There's also a gym in Santa Fe that you helped start. Tell me about that, please.
Yeah, Undisputed Fitness still runs today down over in the rail yard, kind of off Baca there. We would be running the parking lot. I mean, people in the grocery store thought we were crazy, but started a jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, and CrossFit gym there, and then it became like a strongman gym, kind of like a functional fitness gym.
Oh yeah, and tell me more about Lorenzo Hernandez. He's an amazing snowboarder, just about the greatest guy.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites. I knew him from way back in the club days too, right?
In high school he was a little heavy, I think, and maybe a little bit after, but there was a transition when he started going to the gym, and then he was shredded, right?
Yeah, I mean, what an output. I mean, yeah, the guy he's a little machine. And now two little beautiful boys. I mean, and to see the whole arc of his family, what a privilege, man, just to witness,
Tait, I know, this is on local radio in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I know you were also on several episodes of the show Breaking Bad. What can you tell me about that experience?
It's so fun. What a treat. Bryan Cranston, what a treat, what a gentleman. Yeah, everybody. It was really, and what a time. The first kind of filming we did was out at Tahajali, where we pulled Jesse out and we get the money out in the barrels and kidnap Jesse essentially, and just the sand and the dog, like it was crazy. All the res dogs everywhere, and just what cool scenes, man. What an iconic thing to be a part of. And anyway, yeah, filming that was tremendous. The final scenes we did on the stage in a clubhouse where we all get gunned down by Walter White with the automatic. And that, looking at the outside of it, the explosives that are all wrapped around it for where all the bullet hits are going to explode and blow the inside of the walls out. It was crazy. It looked like a bomb, but a huge house. It was incredible. But even seeing that, people would ask me, they go, "Oh, did that make the difference? That was the difference for your career or something." It's like, it never looked like a career. It just looked like I'm trying to get another job. I'm trying to curate my craft as much as I can. I'm trying to read auditions as much as I can so I can get better at that. I'm trying all the things, right? And And it was never a thing that happened that someone said, oh, you did this, so now this. It's just what's the next thing and do it as well as you can. And I see that everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like that Alan Watts sentiment where you just do whatever you love and then eventually you become an expert in it. And then eventually there's a paycheck for you.
Yeah, other people will love it, and then you'll be a master at that thing.
Were there some moments on set or some times when you're looking around going, this is crazy, what am I doing? Or
Yeah, I mean, I really think that I felt that on Disney, on this show, The Mandalorian right now, and when I was on Avengers, because it was the same kind of thing, and it was Favreau that was directing it, and that stuff comes downhill. And it's just like he curates a positive and cool energy so that everybody can do the best work they can. And a lot of sets aren't like that. Some guys are like great nerves and anxiety. You know, there's all the different things. So I really appreciate it when I see it done well like that. It's I guess seeing a finished product later, right? I went to the movies with my mom and watching it with my mom, and then there's my big fat head on the screen, and she's just like, and it's a trip, man. It's like, because I mean, I don't know. I go to these Comic Cons now, right? Because of this character for Star Wars. And especially, I mean, everybody is. Everybody's subject to the magic of television, right? The illusion of specialness. But those kids, man, especially, I just want to go, there's nothing special about me. You're not less special than the magic that you're seeing magnified on the television.
yeah, and you've helped other people get sober beyond just Annie Lederman. Is that right?
I mean, it's been a part of my life that's been super important. You know, it changed everything in my life, and I've been lucky enough to hopefully, you know, I mean, they tell me I've helped them in their life.
What else in the near future is in the works, and what's going on lately?
Yeah, I've gotten to work in New Mexico a little bit in the last year, which has been cool, and did a show called Trigger Warning with Jessica Alba last summer, which was a real fun experience. Cool lady, hard worker. And the whole COVID thing has been a crazy thing during the film experience too. It's just what a bizarre world we've been in. The whole that just I got triggered by things like that. Love Lies Bleeding is another show with Ed Harris and Kristen Stewart, and one of my co-stars from Mando is also in it. And which is a dope thing. I met her on that set, and then I met her at a convention, and I was like, Katie, what are you doing? I had no idea. That's how big that universe is, though. You can both be in the same show and not even know about each other.
How do you stay gruff? How do you how do you appear on camera? You know, what is it about you?
You can't fake the funk, right? I've lived a life. A friend of mine says it took a lot of violence to get this gentle. So yeah, it's not a stretch to play those characters.
Tait, that's a show. Is there anything else you want to tell us before you go?
Hit up cavemancoffee.com and order your beans and cold brew from us.
Everybody, thanks for joining us. This was Tait Fletcher, actor and also martial artist. We'll see you next week.